Very good everybody, welcome to another video. I'm your personal funky sim pilot. My name is Arkady Gidzenko and I will be your captain for today's flight. And today's flight will take us from a very rainy airport in Germany, Bremen airport, to the Chopin International Airport in Warsaw, Poland. And as always, we are using real-world time and real-world weather. And we are now flying again the PMDG Boeing 737-700. We got the old Lufthansa livery from 2015. And that's basically about it. As you can see, oops, there's a building in the way. We're just standing here parked. I believe this is gate number 2. It is a really shitty day when looking at the weather. So I'm thinking, yeah, we're gonna join the club. Alright, so let's just hop onto the flight deck, or at least into the aircraft. So we do not have any passengers on board yet. We're not going to be using GSX today. So we won't be seeing any passengers or anything. Just going to be a little flight. So we are on the flight deck and you can hear the rain on the rooftop. Let's turn on the battery. I believe this one's the battery power. Let's get some align the IRS. Get some lights going here. I can start the ground power. And then we can turn on some lights, I think, but let's just hop into the seat here. Have a slightly better perspective. So those lights, yes, they're on. And let's also turn on the panel lighting. As you can see, very convenient. Makes you able to see certain things. So the aircraft's powering up. Go to the electronic flight bag and request the data from the assembly. So our call sign, Delta Lima Hotel 812. And we're going from Echo Delta Delta Whiskey to Echo Papa Whiskey Alpha. Cost index 38. Let's check the departure weather here. 250 at 17 knots, so that is yeah, a bit windy. Range 5 kilometers. UNH 1019er, and we already set 1019er here. Let's first switch to the correct barometric pressure 1019er. There we have it. Right. Position initialization. Our ref airport is Echo Delta Delta Whiskey. I believe it's gate number 2, but I'm really not sure if it's going to. No, it's not in database. So we could have a look at the Navigraph. We're looking at a total block time of about 1 hour 45 minutes. I think this is my previous flight, so let's remove that. So, Bremen to Warsaw. Here's our little airport, Bremen, a cute little airport. I like it a lot. So what is our parking position? 03. Oh, we'll give that a try. So I just put in 03. That accept it. Looks like it. That's good. Right, so we have that in. Then we'll go to request the routing. Flight plan request from SimBrief, that's the one. We set the payload and we set the fuel. And we check if it's again back to pounds. So we go to PMDG setup, aircraft, displays, and I believe it's the last page. Metric or imperial. So kilograms, and there we have the kilograms. Then we can carry on. Now, I may have to do this again. Set payload, set fuel, and then we need to click select the route. There we go. Not really sure what's going on. I wanted to turn on some lights, so let's do that first. Oh, there you go. You can see now. So we load it in. The route uplink is loading. Very good. Thank you very much. We're just going to get some lights happening here in the cockpit. We got a little stutter there for a second. So the panel brightness down here as well. We're going to give ourselves some random squawk code. So we activate the route, execute, and that is now in there. Go to departure and arrival, departures, and let's have a look at our routing. Get the OFP, zoom in maximum, lost index 38, cruising 330, no. Yeah, looks like it, 330, I thought it was higher, no, I think I remember correctly, 330. Context 38, Context 38, average wind 346.079er. We are blinking 5.8 kilograms, 5.8 thousand kilograms of fuel. We have final reserves of 1.8, 1.9er. Well, and then for the actual routing, runway 27, the GESTO 1 Zulu. Out of runway 27, and then for the BIMPA 6 Vector for runway 29er. So runway 27 and the GESTO 1 Zulu. So first you select runway 27, that at least the runway is correct. And GESTO 1 Zulu, departure, execute, index, and you go to the arrival. And there we have, hopefully we have an ILS, runway 29er, there's RNAV runway 29er, and there's runway 29er. Uh-oh, they do not have an ILS for that runway. I was getting so comfortable flying ILS landings. VDM, I'm not really familiar with VDM, what it stands for. Visual, whatever. DME, maybe. And then we have a runway 33. Now let's check the wind. We could maybe put this in a little bit later, but on the other hand, you know, it's not a very long flight, so wind, the weather's not going to change a lot. We have 270 at 16 knots. Let's have a look at the airport here. Maybe we can change something for ourselves. Arrival. Have a look at the airport. You have two runways. You have the 29er, which is 9,100 feet. Then there is the 11 and 29er, and then you have here on the other side, you have the 33 and the 15, that should be, yeah. It's a longer runway as well. So wind 270 will be sort of a crosswind. It's fine, we're going to be taking that. So let's change that ourselves here. So we will do ILS Zulu for runway 33. And it was the BIMP 6 Vector, but there's a uniform there. Probably not a Vector then, let's just double check again. BIMPA 6 Vector. BIMPA 6 Zulu, so it looks like, okay, let's just take the BIMPA 6 Zulu then. And yeah, let's just execute. I'm good. Alright. So the BIMPA 6 uniform. Let's get the appropriate charts, just also as like a backup, like a reminder. Approach ILS Zulu, which will be this one. Put a pin in that one. And then for the star chart, BIMPA 6 Vector 36 uniform, no. There's the other BIMPA 6 uniform, that's this one, pin in it. It's telling us we will be coming from BIMPA. This is all not too exciting, it's just an RNAV routing, just to line you up with the final approach heading. It's perfectly okay. Cool, so we can move on. Isn't it lovely when you can move on about certain things? Fuck's sake, man. My apologies. I'm available for children's parties. I'm just kidding. Okay. So we got the arrival in there as well. Index should be okay, so we can continue on the inlet left page. We have the zero fuel weight 53.6. And the fuel we can put in 5.8. And then we have the reserves 1.8, I think in this case. Do not have to round it up. Cost index was 38, I believe. Just go ahead for now, 38. Then with cruising altitude 330. And then we had wind was, I'm just gonna write 249er at 079er. My apologies. So we check the LFP. On the cruise, 38, 346 at 79, okay. So 346. Can do it like that, just leave the 79er in there. No, it doesn't accept it. Okay, so it wants us to type out the entire thing. 346 and then 079. Put it in like that. There we have it. And then we can execute. And for the N1 limit, we'll have to do some calculations. Fortunately, we don't have to do them ourselves. The runway will be 27. The runway condition is wet. Let's say wet standing water. And we'll calculate takeoff 1, Atmospheric or non-available sub is basically, there's not really a reduced takeoff, I think, speed. Takeoff 1, atmospheric, so I believe that's just the same temperature, so it gives us 129 or 131 and 137 on the V speeds. So let's have a look at that. Takeoff 1, that will give us 91.0. We see here 95, well, we can accept it, I guess. And plus 8, so let's see what is the outside air temperature. It's actually about 8 degrees, so let's just see what happens if we put in 8. It doesn't like it. I put in plus. You don't have to put in a plus, I believe. Maybe 0.8. No, then we're just going to leave that. And take off. We'll do a Mach 1 takeoff. Center of gravity and trim, so we'll trim 5.6. 129, 131, 137. So we have our speeds there. So it should be fine. And we can dial in 137 here up here in the box. We're going to be doing that. And then I guess we're about ready to push back. Let's have a look outside. It's a really shitty day here, as you can see. Oh yeah, you know, here we go for Europe. Everybody's real fucking happy. Alright, you know what I mean. Alright man, so let's get this motherfucker on the road. So just start everything up. You can turn on the yaw damper by now. Start the APU. Give it a couple of seconds and then you click start. So we arm the emergency exit lights here. Seatbelt signs can come on. We'll be cruising at 330, so let's put that in as well. Now that we're down here. And our return altitude is basically 0, so we can just leave that. We'll continue the flow up on this panel. We turn on the hydraulic pumps, probe heat and the window heat. And that basically concludes the initial setup. The exhaust gas temperature here for the APU is now settling, so it started to peak. And then it will settle at around a little below 400 degrees. There you go. So let's switch over to APU generator now. We're now on internal power. We're on the APU bleed. We can dismiss the ground power unit. Release the ground power and let's also remove the chokes, I think. We can remove the jetway and everything, and we can just start taxiing. This will be a very short taxi. It's a very small airport. Runway 27 will be to the left, so we will be taxiing to our right. So let's hold the tug for pushback. FS actions, pushback. We do a standard L, turn nose to the right, 90 degrees, like the tug, and start.
Cockpit to ground. Go ahead. We've been cleared for pushback and start. They want the tail to our left. Roger that. Ready to push. Tail to the left. Park brakes off. Brakes released.
Okay, so we're about to be pushed back. So blink it on.
Brakes released, here we go.
Okay, poor jetway didn't really retract, I guess. Just check we don't have an open door or anything. Okay, so that's good. I think we have some incoming traffic there, the green light. Anyway, so let's start up the engine. So we start up with engine number 2. And that is coming. So once it reaches around 20 or something, I turn on the fuel there. I don't know why it's stopping every now and it's like stuttering in the pushback. It's been doing this for a while. You know, we can make it work if we're guided by love. If we're guided by fear, tough chance, man. Tough chance. Just putting that out there. Alright, so let's go engine number 1. Now we have engine starting up. Introduce the fuel. Just make this screen a little bit darker, especially in Flight Simulator when there's clouds. Let's set the parking brake. When there's clouds, the display, the glass panel, will start to light up a little more bright for some reason. It's always been a little bit weird. Alright, we have 2 engines almost. Engine number 1 is almost ready. So we go to RTO on the auto brake. The engine start selectors go into a continuous mode, and we can turn on the runway turn off lights and the taxi lights. And most importantly, we switch over from APU to the main generators. We can turn off the APU now. Let's also turn off the APU bleed up here. And we can turn on the packs. Let's put this one on traffic here, the navigational display, and the flaps go to 1. We are on TA only, I think that's okay, or maybe when we should put it on TA right now, there you go. Let's quickly double check, little sanity check. Let's pull up this one. So for runway 27, it's fairly simple, as I said, it's a really simple short airfield. So we just continue on here and yeah, here we go. Alright. FMC, this little button is lighting up now, means it's asking us to verify our takeoff speeds one more time, so 129, 131 and 137. And we have 137 for the V2 speed here in the box. Let's release the parking brake. And let's get rolling. So yeah, the flight itself will not be very long. You know, it's just basically city hopping from Bremen to Warsaw. It's not like we have to invent the wheel here or anything. I'm going to try to fly the initial part of the departure myself. Usually after taking off, I would always turn on the autopilot. And there are some cases where that's actually normal. Sometimes it's SOP related as well. You know, it's the airline, the company will basically request or demand that pilots turn on the autopilot as soon as they can. We got a layer landing here. Just for safety reasons, it minimizes the workload on the pilots. And it is simply more precise. But obviously, pilot should always be able, to fly a SID. But I'm not going to fly the entire SID myself. There are pilots who may sometimes, just fly it up to 10,000 feet or something and then turn on the autopilot. But, yeah, it's interesting to do just like a step climb. We just do a step learning curve, so sometimes fly a little bit of the it for yourself and then after a while you just let the autopilot take over, So that's us. We're going to the end of the runway right there. I think we have another airplane on final there, so let's wait a little bit with turning on the landing lights. In a case like this, we'll probably be told to hold short and that there is incoming traffic. So let's hold short of link. This might be our... yeah, we can do it here, maybe one line further. Let's see if the parking brake is set. Okay. So there we have our incoming traffic first. Somewhere around there. There they come. That's some poor visibility, man. I just see lights, that's it. What are they landing on? This is just buggy. Just see a bunch of lights there. Okay, anyway, let's turn on the landing lights now. And let's get ourselves onto the runway. Landing lights can go on. And also the position to strobe and steady. Ground crew or the cabin crew can be strapped in as well. Let's turn off the lights. Release the parking brakes. Does not want to comply. On brake, you can do it. There you go. Alright, so let's get into position. Don't see any other lights coming for now. Actually, does this work? Does it keep the water off? Doesn't really look like it. Right, so I'm not going to be using it. It looks clear on the approach side here. I think we're fully configured for takeoff. So I guess we can do a rolling takeoff then. So let's start the clock. And we set power for 50% N1. And let's settle it down and take off thrust. Here we go.
Airspeed's live.
V1 speed.
V1, rotate.
Rotating.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. And now we just try to follow the flight director. So there's a left turn coming up. Try to get our pitch correct, as well as our roll. Flaps up. And we can turn off the auto brake if it wants to. There you go, we locked the gear. And let's turn on the autopilot. And something I did not do previous flight, check that CMD is there. You can also see the little light there, CMD, so that you actually know the autopilot is now on. We can turn off the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights, and the cabin crew can walk around freely. That will be passengers.
Traffic.
With a little traffic warning here. 4,000 below us. And then, as you can see, there's always light nearby, no matter what conditions you want it downstairs, you know. Remember that. You can switch over now to standard barometric pressure. Traffic down there below. Okay. So 9,200 feet, and increase the range a little bit here on the navigational display. That will be our top of climb. As I said, it's not a very long flight. 10,000 feet, we can turn off the landing lights. Let's see our attitude. Yeah, we can also unstrap the passengers. We'll leave it on auto. And then basically we can keep monitoring, and we can also start setting up our approach. So what we did, we chose a different runway for landing, which does give us a little bit more of a crosswind, but it also does give us an ILS approach. I think that's, for me, as a pilot, that would be the most safe option. So that's what we're doing. So we can have a look into that momentarily. Let's just have a look outside. It always amazes me that when you're down and you see all the colors around you, they're like gray and brown, you know, and then you get into a plane, you go up, and like 5 minutes later, nature is like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. What the fuck you're talking about? There's light everywhere. I don't know what, you know. So anyway, that will never cease to amaze me. Even like in a simulator like this, where they have fairly decent, visuals, so pretty cool. And then it works, you know. Alright, let's get back to business. GESTO is up next in 36 nautical miles, 1445, so that's in about 5 minutes. But basically we will reach our top of the climb very shortly. We check the climb page. It will be at 1448 Zulu, as you can see right here. So So to flight level 330 is 48 Zulu at 60 nautical miles. That's like another 8 minutes. So let's see, do we have to clean up anything? I think this is all okay. Clean up the gear, we locked it. The flaps have been retracted. And we have the auto brake. For now I'm good. So let's focus on the arrival. What I'll do first is go to the descent page. So 341 nautical miles until the top of descent. So that's a bit. It's 15:24 right now. It's in about 30 or 40 minutes. This gives us plenty of time to properly plan our descent as well as our final approach. So this is the initial descent. So we will be coming in via BIMPA, and there we should be at or below flight level 190. So that will be probably the first stage of descent. We'll see this momentarily. Then we get on to Cooley, we take a right, Menzi, Repsol, Tofu, Zardini, Sisal, Lembu, Whiskey Alpha 536 and Whiskey Alpha 534, and then you press on basically. There's also a holding point here, in case you need to hold. We're not going to be doing that, we're just going to press on and land on runway 33. We have the charts for runway 33 as well, and we need them. Because, let's go to PIN. Approach runway 33. And we will need those charts because there's some information on that we need to enter. First of all, the localizer, it's an ILS landing, so that's the localizer on the runway, at the end of the runway, or the beginning, however you want to look at it. And it has a frequency of 110.3 and a final approach course of 326. So we'll start by entering 110.3 into the nav radio. So 110, let's put it here, and decimal 3. So that's the least amount of clicks. And we transfer it back. So 110.3, that is our ILS. And 326, I believe that they say, what was the final approach course? 326, it says it right there. You just put those into the box here. And when you do that, you will see here in the top left corner of your primary flight display, it will show you the frequency of the ILS and if it and the course. So 326, we put it in there. We also do this on the pilot monitoring side. The moment we get into range, you will start to see that the DME starts to count down, but we're not quite in range just yet. So that's information that we need. That's the first thing that we need. So we have the ILS frequency and we have the final approach course. 3,000 feet, this will be the beginning of our glide slope. And you can see that depicted here as well. The glide slope arrow starts at 3,000 feet altitude. And it starts at 8.3 nautical miles from Whiskey Alpha, so let's have a look. Whiskey Alpha 529. We'll have a look at that later. But for now what we will need is the decision altitude. And for the type of ILS we're going to be doing, I think we can put in 50 feet, which is radio altitude. You can also set that here. You can choose barrel or radio. This is called the minimums. We put it on radio. Radio means the aircraft is looking straight down, just measuring how high am I until I reach the surface. The other one, when you put it on barrel, you'll get your barometric altitude based on air pressure. But this is simply how far above the ground are we. And that will be 50, so that's very short. And what that means, minimums, once you reach the minimum altitude of 50 feet above the ground, you should be able to see the runway visually. If you do not, then you have to perform perform a go-around procedure. So you select radio there, and then when you start dialing it in, you will see that down here in the corner here of your primary flight display, some text all of a sudden appears, and you can change that by this button. So it says radio 50 already, so that's spot on. We have that entered as well. See airport elevation. The runway is situated at 355 feet. Before we start descending, it's always good to enter that information here in the pressurization system. Is it near to 350 or near to 30? Was it again? Near to 350, so that's spot on. There is a missed approach procedure, obviously. Climb straight ahead to Zelto, then turn left to Warsaw via water, climb to 3000 feet, then it's directed. Can we see this in any kind of way? Yeah, it's probably okay. So you're ready to send to the Zaborowek POR like that. And this is interesting. Okay, so the ILS identifier is Whiskey Alpha for Warsaw. Why is this interesting? Because when you look here, it shows that the glide slope starts at a distance of 8.3 nautical miles from Whiskey Alpha. So we could put a range link around the touchdown zone, basically. That starts at 8.3 nautical miles, so that we can have some visual here on the navigational display as well. And that's greatly going to help your situational awareness. So 8.3 nautical miles, just need the reciprocal for 33, that's 1.5. Not quite. Let's do this in a bit. Where are we on the climb? So we're 1,000 feet from our, there comes the horn, just to tell us from 33,000. So that means we're pretty much at cruise altitude now. Let's zoom out a little bit more. We got that. Yeah, so for the fixed page, okay, so now we're on you could see change. It's now at cruise all of a sudden. So this is our current state. We're in the cruise phase. We're in the cruise phase now. And it says here to top of descent, it's 287 nautical miles. No, well before that we will have set everything up. We can start maybe here as well with the approach ref. We can select our desired flap setting. We're going for 40 degrees. Gives us 131 knots of final approach speed. Fully configured with the gear down and the flaps at 40 degrees. And we add another 5 nautical miles, which will give us a final approach speed of 136 knots. You should be able to see this here on the legs page as well, whenever you find the waypoint right before your ILS. Let's check that route discontinuity in a bit as well. And here you see runway 33 and Whiskey Alpha 529er. There your speed should be 136. So that's what the aircraft is going to try to do. Next we have 3,000 feet. As we saw, this is the start of our glide slope. Since we are now at cruise and we are following lateral navigation, you can see us requesting it here. You can see the aircraft telling us that it is doing it. We can now change the altitude to 3,000 feet. Nothing will happen until the aircraft starts to encounter the next waypoint that is lower than its current altitude, basically, and it will just start dropping its nose accordingly. So for now, since there's no ATC or anything, we're just going to do it like this, so we can focus on other things while landing. But basically, we'll do a step descent, and ATC will tell you descend to this, descend to that, descend to this, and you will just do a step descent like that. But in our case, we can just let the FMC work it out for us, and it's just going to execute it as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the chart for the runway and put in a range link, and then you'll see what I mean momentarily. Let's have a look. We go airport. We did not be in that one then, I guess. Airport. And then we'll look for the correct chart. That would be this one. Basically, it's just showing you the entire airport diagram, like an overview, if you will, you know. So you have your runway headings, so you have your runway headings, you have the length of the runway, all that stuff, holding points, and you have some identifiers for apron 3, apron 9, whatever, so you know who and what and where. There's some additional information, which is sometimes absolutely interesting to check. There might be some interesting fun facts as well there. Okay, so this runway, the final approach course is 326. This will be our runway. If we want to have a runway extended center line of the runway, we actually will need the arrow to go into the line to go into the opposite direction, coming to us when we're flying to it. And that would be a heading of 146 degrees. Now, we need to remember 146. If we now go back to the charts and the final approach chart to check at what point do I want to start the arranging. Well, I want to start it as it says here. Let's zoom in a little bit so you can see a lot better. ILS going down, basically you're on 3,000 feet the whole time until you reach this point, and then the aircraft will start bringing the nose down. At that point is the start of the glide slope. That starts at a distance of 8.3 nautical miles before the ILS, which is called Whiskey Alpha. You can also see it here in the field for the ILS, 326, 110.3, Whiskey Alpha, that's the name. So, we have 146 as the reciprocal heading, and we have a distance of 8.3 nautical miles. And this will not do anything for us, it will just help us get some more situational awareness when looking at the navigational display right there. So what you can do, you can go to your legs page just to find runway 33, click it so it puts the information in the scratch pad right there. Then when you go to your fix page, if it does please, let me get some, there you go, fix. And now you just enter. So it has entered the runway. Now we will put in the radial of 146 degrees, and then a distance of, I believe it was 8.3. I may have to check again. 8.3. Let's have a look. Yeah, 8.3. So there you go. And we enter that. Now, here we do not really see anything yet, but we can go to the planning page on the navigation display. And we can zoom in a little bit more. Obviously it's going to zoom in on VBIS, where it is probably now. If you now go to the legs page, VBIS, and then you can press the button here that says step. And it will take you to Moritz, that is now selected. You see it right there, and so on. So you just basically can go through the entire thing. So that's precisely what we're doing. At some stage we'll be close enough, and we will see the runway and the arranging that we drew around it, along with the extended runway center line. We already know that we're going to cross the airport, then take a right turn and line ourselves up like this. You can see the arranging of 8.3 nautical miles is already here. If we click step one more time, it brings us closer and closer, and basically we're following a line here, taking a U-turn and going here for the final approach. And at this point where the ring is, this is also the point where the glide slope will start. It's not necessarily essential, but I like to have the extra, I don't know, the extra reminder, if you will. By that time you would really like to be as configured as you can, you know, rather than, yeah, so that you're able to be ready on time, rather than, you know, just lagging behind. So that's an interesting feature of the 737. The Airbus has similar features obviously as well. And I really like to use that. Zoom out maybe a little bit for situational awareness, and then you see what I mean. You come from here to Repsol, so who's that you need? Zulu, Whiskey Alpha 534 and 529, and then here starts the you can also see the radial 146 coming out, even though we are flying actually 326, so that's the reverse or the reciprocal, they call it heading. So that we get the runway extended center line. If you zoom out even more, you can see that the runway is just going on indefinitely, because it's basically extending the runway. We don't need it there, we just need it here. But that's good, that's there. It's going to help us. Let's go back to the map page. Actually, we could maybe go back to plan, because we have to check one more thing. When you check into your in the legs page, you have all your waypoints. Okay, that's fine. You have your altitudes, and then here comes the first new altitude restriction. Or here actually 263. So you'll start descending after a mole or whatever. Carry on. We're descending 5,000 feet. Diesel, which was already really close. Next page. Lambo, scale for 536. This continuity. I think this should be fine. I think we can probably connect them like this. Air leg. Yeah, that's perfect. There's nothing wrong here. Okay, so that's good. So there's nothing too crazy. Sometimes there might be bigger gaps of two waypoints not connecting, because usually at some point it takes into account that ATC will give you heading directions. But in this case, there will be no ATC. We'll be doing it ourselves. Just taking a moment to check the color. Nice. Okay, let's go back to the map page. Basically, setup-wise, we've done almost everything. Let's keep on monitoring the latest weather at our arrival. 280 at 50 knots. It was 270 earlier, so it's already a little bit more in our favor. 50 knots is quite some wind, but we'll be fine. It's 4 degrees, and we have an altitude of 1013. So we are now on standard, but we can pre-dial that already. Right here, 1013. But we will have to check probably a couple of times. At the top of descent is in about 20 minutes, and then things will usually start to happen a lot quicker in this situation. 24 minutes, 205 nautical miles. So we have the local QNH. We have the minimums for decision altitude, 50 feet. We dialed in 110.3 here for the ILS Whiskey Alpha for Warsaw, and a heading of 326 degrees. So that's all sitting there waiting. You can see here that we put in our reference speed for a flap 40 degree, which is full flap configuration, and a speed of 131 knots, and then we add 5x 136 knots. We have entered all of that in already, so that's most of that's basically already out of the way. We also entered the basically the glide slope, the start of the glide slope, 3,000 feet. These colors are nice. And could maybe have a look at the chart just for the airport. Not to be surprised, you know, like do we exit to the left, do we exit to the right? You want to know in advance. So this is the airport chart. If EFB works with us, thank you. So this is the airport chart. Yeah, so we'll be landing from this end, so we'll probably be exiting at either Sierra 1, if that is allowed, Sierra 2, or there at the end, and then you have apron and where the hell we go. I don't know, but we will exit to the right. That's the point that I want you to understand here. So we'll exit right, and then we basically get straight onto the apron anyway. There's the terminal. So that's always interesting to know. If there's anything else here. I'm good. Runway is 12,000 feet, so we can remember 121. We can put that in on the inlet page here.
Traffic.
I mistaken, never mind. So where is our traffic? I don't know, I'm good. We started the timer when we started rolling. That was 27 minutes ago. Let's see, is there anything else we can take into consideration except being patient for your loved ones? Well, also monitoring your own sanity and boundaries. You know, you're of no use to anyone, and especially not yourself or your loved ones if you let yourselves get cooked into the process. You know, that's not what's required. So 136 knots at 40 degree. We have everything. Basically, we're just sitting here. We can have a short look here at the turbo checklist, basically, if you will. So before you, so we could maybe look. Engine bleeds are on. So just have a look at that. I think they're already on. I think these are the engine bleeds, and they've been on all along. The packs go to auto. I think we turn the packs on, and they're not on auto. I'm not sure if that's a huge problem. I don't think so. Oh, those packs. Oh, that's actually turning them on. That's putting them on auto. I mean, I knew that when I pressed it, it sounded okay. Indicator up and off, flaps up, no lights. Descent pressurization, landing altitude, or landing altimeters, I guess. Recall checked. Well, we can check the recall now, but we're not descending quite yet, but can never hurt. No messages. Auto brake. I guess we could set the auto brake for now. That should be fine. I'm going to start with auto brake 1. I'm not sure what the if I can see if it's raining there, yes or no. You should be able to see it, but what do I know? It looks like visibility 10 kilometers, broken clouds at 2,900 feet, and no significant change. I think I'm expecting actually pretty much clear skies. Let's see, you have temperature and dew point. Not sure what that will do. Totally lost myself there for a second. So yeah, we have the And so weather should be fine. Okay, so the checklist. So we put in auto brake number 1. Landing data VRF and minimums. Basically we covered this like a couple of times. We have the minimums of 50, the VRF speed will be 131 plus 5 is 136. Landing data, I'm not really sure what that means, but we have all the data. We have the ILS, we have the final approach course heading, all that stuff. And then for the approach, you make sure that you set the altimeters. This is an interesting point. What is the transition altitude? And in other words, at what moment are we going to change the altitude, which is now on standard barometric pressure? When are we going to change that to local barometric pressure? And you can find this information always on the charts, and I believe it's on, I think it's the final approach chart. Transition altitude, it says here in the corner, zoom in, in case you cannot see properly, 6,500 feet. So we just remember that 6,500 feet will be the transition altitude. So it's basically, if we look at where we will be at our approach, looking at the flight plan, somewhere after Sofus, we should start to think. Okay, because at Sofus we should be at 7,148 for some reason. Yeah. So shortly after that we will pass 6,500 and we then quickly switch over to local pressure. So that's the thing we need as well. But we just remember that. And then for the landing, the edge start switches should be a cont. Well, they are now as well. Maybe I should say continuous. Otherwise I'm saying maybe bad words here. Speed brake should be armed. We're not going to do that just yet. Landing it down, flaps down and green lights. Okay, so we can get rid of this yoke for now. Looks like it will be dark by the time we land. The sun is really going there. I really like the color of the sun and the shadow, the way they do it in Flight Simulator. It's pretty cool. So there's a beautiful chubby 737-700 by PMDG. Beautiful, very efficient little aircraft. Totally like it. It's an old 2015 Lufthansa livery. We have I think it's a full moon. But it should never make any kind of difference if it's full moon or not. So yeah, till this point I'm quite happy with the flight. We flew a little bit of the departure ourselves, so, you know, just like the first, maybe not even the first waypoint, but just like the initial curve or whatever. Turn and then yeah, we're on autopilot. We've set up basically everything. We just need to remember 6,500, and at some point we will turn on the localizer and everything, and we should monitor our speeds as well. And that's basically it. See, everybody is still free to go about their business. The only thing is it will probably be dark. But there's already less clouds than the part where we left. There is still some clouds, but there's definitely some openings here and there. It was totally overcast when we left. So yeah, this is an amazing little aircraft, and I would love to have the slightly smaller one, 737-600. They're not like overly ridiculously expensive, but the point is, like, I already bought this one for like 60 or 70 bucks. If I want to buy like a slightly bigger one, no, I don't want to pay full price again. Maybe the systems obviously are a little bit different. It's not only the size, but I don't know, you know, like, you're a customer, I don't know. So I'm a little bit reluctant. Like, I'm not jumping to immediately purchase that. But I would like it, and I would also like the 737-800 and the 737-900, but that's the point, like it would be like 200 euros or whatever, screw that, here we go. So yeah, so we're cruising. I really like the descent page, like these three buttons right here, climb, cruise, descent, they're amazing. Like for cruising altitude, I think we can change our target speed, all that stuff. For instance, when you go to descent, there's an interesting thing. It says speed restriction 240 below flight level 100. This is for Europe, it's 250. Why we could do 250 /. I stopped doing it really, but you can do it and see if anything breaks. It will then be forced basically to, as you can see, to re-enter the data here. Basically it's going to change things around based on the new data, because it has slightly different constraints. So it's now allowed to make new options, create new options, and that's what it's doing automatically. That's pretty cool. On the descent page, something that's interesting as well, let's get the descent winds, is that you will see what your vertical deviation is. If you're a little bit high, how many feet are you high, or how many feet are you low. And you will also be able to see that here, I believe, and here, once the time is there. We could also maybe put in the VOR, or for the missed approach. Let's go full page. It says here, for the missed approach, you climb straight ahead, so that's a heading of 326 degrees, to Zelto, which is sitting at 2.8 nautical miles from OK. What's OKC? That is OKC. So probably we need to put in this VOR frequency, and maybe also the Warsaw, just for situational awareness. So 113.45. What we maybe could do, put that in after the ILS. So let's say we missed the final approach, which is on this ILS frequency. We go to 113.45. Yeah, 113.45. So we could maybe put that in 113.45. And then basically you just swap it, and you will then see here DME and the name of the DOR that you entered. For now, we're going to go back to the active frequency will be 110.3, and then in the nav2 box we can put in the other frequency that's for Zaborovec, 114.9. So 114.9, and that's active. So this is already actually active. It's not picking up VOR2, but it will populate here VOR2. So this all in preparation in case we need to do a go around. We will fly a runway heading of 326. We could even put in the heading box 326 as well. And usually I think you will use this differently, because you might be needing the heading box well before your final approach. What were we putting in? 326? I think I was going the wrong direction. Okay, 326. Excuse me. But yeah, as I was saying, usually you will be using the heading box well before the final approach. We do a little sound check. 1 second. Okay, thank you. That sounds about right. The engines are doing something. I think we might be hitting some turbulence. It is slowing down all of a sudden, as you can see. Basically, we're overspeeding. Might be that we'll have some wind from the side and from the back. Quite high, I guess, 89. But anyway, the aircraft is working for us. It's very nice, thank you. So let's focus here. So 326, we put that in the box. So in case we do have a missed approach, fly straight ahead to Zelto. I think Zelto is probably in the flight plan as well. Oh, we're going back to the FMC again to see if that's the case. We have EDDW, etc., etc. Next page. Basically, Airline, which comes from 5 to 9er. Then comes the runway, and then comes Zelto. This is the go around, basically already pre-programmed, and then you go to the Warsaw VOR. The aircraft should actually be able to do this on its own. Not really sure if there's a setting, however, that you have to tell it, hey, now perform a go around. It could be a thing. I'll look into that later. In case we need to do it ourselves, then at least we know. We fly to Zelto. Zelto is 2 per day nautical miles from Okesi, which we entered in the box from the Nav 1 radio. Then you take a left turn to the Warsaw VOR, climb it to 3,000 feet, and then basically you should expect directions. But the turn limited to a max speed of 185 knots, only if Zelto is crossed below 2,000 feet. So if you cross Zelto above 2,000 feet, it's okay if you're higher than 185 knots, but otherwise we should be a max speed of 185 when we turn from Zelto to Warsaw. That's how I understand this. What they're saying here, Whiskey Alpha 533 and Airline may be used for tactical vectoring. So what they mean, let's zoom out a bit and I'll explain. I think what they mean basically, you cannot see it right here. We should actually, for this, you should see the, if you remember the final approach path is basically waypoint, 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 waypoint. It makes like a U. And which is usually what will happen with these RNAV, those are called RNAV arrivals. They are used, you have all these different waypoints so that you can, ATC may say, hey, go direct to that waypoint. And then you just skip. I think that is basically what they're saying here. So you could sort of reasonably be expected to be vectored onto, to go direct with Alpha 533, or they may say Lufthansa 815, go direct Airline. And then you know that you go direct Airline. Not really sure if that's what they mean. If not, otherwise instructed ATC, expect the radar vectors to leave 3,000 feet of the glide path. Yeah, I think it's something, should be something like that. Sometimes I may also put in a range link, like a bigger range link. Let's see if I'm going to do that. We go to the plan page. So we have the range link for where the beginning of the glide slope will be. We'll be coming from this direction, so from the southeast, if you will. And this is where the glide slope will start. And sometimes it can maybe be nice to have a little bigger circle around it. I think I'm not going to be doing it. You could maybe, perhaps you would be interested in putting a circle around the top of descent, you know, things like that. It's a really nice feature. You can choose any waypoint basically to demonstrate. If you go to the relax page, let's say BIMPA. This has our interest for some reason. We click it, it gets added here to the scratch pad. When you go with that information, you go to the fix page. We already have something, you just do next page, and then you can create a second page for some fix info. Now when you click next to the empty boxes, which are expecting data, it will paste whatever you have in the scratch pad. And then you can say radio or distance. I think maybe you can only do a distance as well. So let's say 33 nautical miles. It takes like the some standard radio. So we now have a distance link of 33 nautical miles around from a random waypoint we just chose, which is called BIMPA. So if we now go to the legs page, get the idea, right? Mount a little bit more. But this gives you some idea of where you are, and this can really help, you know, like sometimes in planning, because it does not always require a actual calculation in your head, but more like it's more like an intuitive approach. And I really like that they give you the options. You can create an intuitive approach based on seriously raw data. Concrete data, you know, but yeah, I like it. And if you like, okay, let's just get rid of it, I changed my mind, you just click on the delete button here, and click on, I think just on BIMPA, and it just clears it out. No questions asked, and it's gone. That's a very handy feature of airliners these days, if you ask me. So, still at 33,000 feet. Back under control now. Let's go back to the map page. Still quite some tailwind there, crosswind tailwind. And zoom in maybe a little bit more. What are we on now? Because I think our top of descent is quite close. Yeah, there you go. Top of descent is right there. So, okay, so we looked at a couple of things. We went over the final approach briefing. We also know we're going to exit the runway to the right. We also know that we're going to be monitoring in our heads 6,500 feet. As an example, what I said, you could also create a range link around the point where you think you should start to switch the decision altitude. All kinds of things are possible. It's pretty cool. So let's check the weather, because basically we checked everything, we set up everything. Let's see if there's a weather update. The last one was at 14:30 Zulu. We'll refresh. And there was one at 1500 Zulu. Expected 270, still 15 knots. 10 kilometers range. Below clouds at 2,900. 4 degrees centigrade. 2.0 and QNH 1013, so that really nothing has changed a lot there. We're like a couple of minutes away now from the top of descent. Go now to the descent page, 27 nautical miles, 1526 Zulu. You can see that right here. You have your clock here, it says it's 1523 Zulu. So, we're like 3 minutes away, and as I said, we don't even have to do anything right now. Definitely getting darker out. We do have a bullish moon there. And beautiful sky behind us. Let's turn on some working lights for a bit. And we just monitor a little bit what's going to happen, such as our rate of descent. You know, is that going to be too fast? All that stuff. Usually it should be fine. The 737-700 is getting more and more comfortable with it. I believe like the 777, it's a little bit harder to manage the energy. You know, the 777. The 737 is quite easy. And it may also, you know, whine at you sometimes, saying, hey man, drag is required, and then we all laugh. And then we enter the, you know, the speed brakes, we extend the speed brakes a little bit. Yeah, so we really have a lot already set up actually. So that's good stuff. And obviously you want to do it sooner rather than later. We're now 50 minutes into the flight. And we're like 1 minute away from, 1 or 2 minutes away from descent. And something interesting is happening. You you can see at VOR2 that the Warsaw VOR is actually now being received. We have DME indication, so we're 88.4 nautical miles from that VOR, and that is this green thingy there. I think if we turn that off here, that information goes away. We would like it on right now. And then on the nav1 radio, where it says VOR1, we have actually 110.3, which is, we also see up here, which is our localizer, our ILS. For the ILS system, it's the localizer. So that's not yet picking up, it's not showing a DME yet. But the VOR identifier, Whiskey Alpha Romeo, is actually detected as well as the DME. Obviously the range of a ILS is not as far as that of the Warsaw VOR, which reaches a lot further. So it makes total sense. I guess if we switch around frequency here on the nav1 radio to the Cortegi, or not saying correctly, I think, that's not picking up. Okay, so that's a weaker VOR. But the point was, if it would pick up, then that would explain something. So let's put it back on the ILS, and let's get ready to monitor the descent now, or any moment. 3 nautical miles to go. And maybe for now I might actually turn off the VOR2 just to declutter a little bit. The sun is really going. Here we go. Descent stage. Our phase has now started. The engines are throttling back. You can see 67, 66, 65, and the nose is going down. You can see our angle of attack here going down. You can see now that we're a little bit high above the descent profile, and it also says drag required. I think I will comply immediately, because if you take into consideration we have 95 knots of crosswind. At least it's not headwind, you know, it's a little bit in our tail. So we'll basically be pushed forward as well. So we need to slow down a little bit, I guess. Let's see if this is doing anything. Our vertical deviation is still increasing. Going slower. And now it's coming down again. So yeah, that's an interesting thing to try and monitor. So that's precisely what we're doing. You can see it's the vertical deviation is absolutely decreasing there, so that's good news. It's going to take a little while, but we do definitely have time, so there's no rush. But you rather want to do it sooner than later. You know, you don't want to have a high energy approach. I've had this so many times, even on the stream, and sometimes, you know, I'm on the final approach and I'm like so fed up. I'm like, I don't give a damn, man. I'm just going to settle down, just see if it's going to happen, yes or no. I don't want to do any go-arounds and stuff. But the more comfortable I will get in doing go-around procedures, preparing for them, and finally executing them, then it's just going to be a part of the whole thing as well, you know. But usually it's better to, you know, I prefer to not have to do it. And it's always good to be ahead of what needs to happen, rather than be late, you know. You want to know what's the plane going to do next, what do I have to do next. And sometimes think a couple of steps ahead, like the 6,500 that we need to bear in mind, you know. So you can see in the meantime, the vertical deviation while we're talking is still dropping. We're now diminished by 50%, it's around 500 feet high instead of more than 1,000 feet high. May have to check the speed here. 195 should be okay. I mean, we are in a nose down position and we're not going that slow. I believe 195 is the space shuttle, was the space shuttle's average final touchdown speed 105 knots, and our touchdown speed will be around 136 knots. So the space shuttle was allowed to touch down really fast, and it needed a really long runway for that as well, obviously. So you can see now we are back on the descent profile, so we are going to retract the speed brake. Now it might be interesting to keep on monitoring a little bit, because we are probably getting blown ahead, and I totally forgot to do the descent forecast. Let's see if we can still do that, but it will very likely, I would expect it to change a bit of the current status of our descent profile, because all of a sudden it's taking all the wind into consideration, such as the tailwind that we have. So it might have told us to start descending a little bit earlier than we did. I'm not sure. There you go. So just load them in, and we'll work through it if it's needed. Descent forecast up, let's execute it. You can see we're now, I think you can see jump the arrow, and that's jumping again. So if we go back to descent, we're again a little bit high, but the aircraft is managing without the drag, I think. Though it is saying drag required right now. Let's wait a little bit. This is interesting, speed restriction 181 flaps, so might be that once we reach 181 knots we have to extend our flaps. Well, not really sure, but it does say drag required, but we are only ever so slightly high. Let's just do it. My question. Yeah, there's definitely a lot less clouds here, for sure. 50 feet high, and there you go. So let's just retract the speed brakes, and it goes back to drag required. So maybe, let's see, can we... I never use this thing with the mouse, so I'm not really sure. I do it like this, but that's really annoying. Okay, see what this does. We're actually a little bit below our descent profile, so I'm not really sure if I can keep some winding drag required there. I'm 1 second. No speed brakes, and just clear out the drag required and just forget about it. Go to descent page there. Okay. Alright, we're a little bit below descent profile, perfectly fine. We do not have to worry about the lights just yet, but we could maybe strap in the passengers for now. Let's turn on the seatbelt signs. And let's see if we can have some data here. BIMPA progress. We should be there at 15:58. That is 24 minutes, something like that. Get the latest weather. There's 13 knots, a little bit less. 1 degrees, 1014. We're going to change that. No, it didn't take. 1014. And let's see if we can pretend we address the this is your captain speaking. As you noticed, we have started our descent to our final destination, so please return to your seats and turn on your seatbelts. You have turned on the seatbelt signs. We should be arriving at Warsaw Airport in about 23 or so minutes. The local temperature will be 4 degrees, and it's quite a windy day, with quite a lot of, but it's quite a quite some open skies. We have some broken clouds at about 1 kilometer or so. We hope you enjoyed your flight, and on behalf of Lufthansa and the entire crew, thank you for flying, and see you next time. Yeah, something like that, I guess, right? We are on TRA, I think this is all okay. Engines are starting to respond here. We're doing a left turn. And we can actually do flap 1, so I'm going to do that. We have our drag. Percentage. We can also go to 2% almost, like. Let's just do that, I guess. So in further preparation for the landing, let's turn on the APU. Just wait a couple of seconds. There you go, and then the exhaust gas temperature starts to rise. We have 350 for the landing altitude, it's all okay. Not have to worry about the landing lights just yet. Yeah, we got my ass, man. Alright. Flaps 5's coming up. The aircraft's actually going quite slow. That's a bit new to me. So let's keep an eye on that. We are now looking at crosswind and a little bit of headwind, but mostly crosswind. A cute little moon there with us. Never hurt nobody. So let's have a short look outside. There you can see the Pleiades, the 7 sisters or whatever. That's a group of star cluster. In case you're interested in astronomy. Alright, what we're looking at, 164. So basically it now wants us to go to flap 10. I think I'm just going to do it. Because, yeah, there is, you know, aerodynamic need for it, I would assume. And it is saying drag required. It's actually at flap 15 now, which is also fine by the looks of it. What is it? Yeah, exactly, this is interesting. Because basically it's telling us to drop the gear, and that doesn't make sense to me. I'm not really sure how to... Wait. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to stop the sound. Not this, I think. No. I'm sorry for that. Really not sure. I never have this. Hardly ever have this. Which is interesting because the aircraft really wants to slow down. Let's have a look at the legs page. Speed 250 or below. Yeah, sure. We definitely are doing that. I'm thinking it's a wind issue, probably. But let's just keep on monitoring it. Yeah, because flaps, you know, at some stage it just wants you to drop the gear, you know, and we're going quite slow. 163. And, you know, we are going down. Yeah, I do not want us to stall. I'm not really sure that's an interesting thing. I would love to have a pilot's opinion on that. Here it's asking flap 10, I guess, if I understand that correctly, which we are. You do not want to go to flap 15, no? I'm not sure if we can maybe increase the speed ourselves, but at the same time, you know, we are, if you go to the descent page, like we're spot on basically, you know. There you can see the area of 8.3 nautical miles around the touchdown zone. We'll basically be flying next to the airport and then making a U-turn and then fly back. That's what's going to happen. Zoom in a little bit. Maybe if we turn on the VOR2 now, is it okay? I guess it's fine. And I just want to check the VOR1 is actually picked up, so if we use that other VOR. Okay, see, that's actually picked up now. We don't need it yet, we would only need it as the first reference point after missing the approach. So let's put it back on the approach, 110.3. We are through to 326 on the course and 326 on the heading. And the heading is in case we need to go around based on following the autopilot rather than the heading autopilot rather than lateral navigation. So yeah, so we're getting ready. 2.5 nautical miles. We'll be at Kelo and we'll take a right turn onto Menchi. Let's also turn on data. Is that take or not? Data, there you go. So the passengers are strapped and informed. We're waiting another 5,000 feet until we can extend the landing lights. The APU is running, not using it yet, but it is running. So we're taking our turn to the right now to Menchi. That's going to be a 14.5 nautical mile leg. As you can see, this will take us past the airport. Our speed is definitely low, but it looks sort of stable. So, but it's interesting. That's a new one to me. Flying this high up with flaps down to me seems a bit weird, but yeah, hey man, what do I know? I only know how to write songs, and I hope I'll learn how to love better and better, and that includes loving myself, you know? Having to look at what rings do I put on what fingers and know what I mean. That's a Menchi coming up, flight level 120 or below. Looks like we will make that. Expected there at 15:45 Zulu, which is in the next minute. Let's get the latest weather. See if there's an update. The last was at 15:30 Zulu. And there is no update yet. We have 1014, I think we already cleared out that. 1014, so we're waiting for 6,500 to switch from standard to local barometric pressure. We have the auto brake armed. And given the, what is it saying, no descent path after Sofus. I'm not sure I know what that means. Speed's getting really slow here, man. I wonder if we could maybe try something. The aircraft's actually powering up the engine. If I retract the flaps a little bit more, less drag, what's going to happen? It says speed 5, flaps 5. If we choose flap 2, what will happen? But I'm not really sure. If would real airplanes do this during their descent? Flap down, flap up, flap down. I think, yo, the passenger's gonna freak out. But it does seem to work. We're still on the profile. Let's do flap 1. Partly we were creating our own problem, or maybe not partly, maybe completely. And that's another thing, you know, it never hurts to look at yourself, you know, what the hell did I do? And sometimes we do things, you know, you always check that, always. You can check with another person, you know, some other person may be crazy, you know, that happens, it's not new. But you always at least check yourself, you know, like, what could I have done better? But self-reflection, sometimes it seems to be very hard to find for some reason, right? And it can be so confusing. So look at our speed, man. So we retracted the flaps, and the aircraft's saying, "Alright, man, let's do this," and it's just speeding up because it's not, you know, it only has a max of like 250. There you go. This does cause us to be initially a little bit high on the descent again. 44, but it's already, you know, so I think that was a good call then. So there's Warsaw area. There's the airport. As I said earlier, we will be flying next to the airport and then make a U-turn like that. Alright, so we're almost at 10,000 feet just to release the workload for increase. We're just going to turn on the landing lights right now, so we don't have to think about that. Let's wait with the runway turn off lights, but just, oh, forget it. Let's put on all the lights there. Anything else we need before touchdown? Up here, there were some clouds at 2,900. This is not them. This is also a little bit of clouds. Not sure if we will need the anti-ice for that. With 10,000 feet, speed is fine. This looks better. Better for sure. So let's turn off the cabin lights. Actually, the dome lights, I should say. Alright, man, let's do this. Passing 10,000 feet now. Speed under control. It's below 250. We have our range ring, and that's why I said earlier it's really nice to have some sort of idea how far you are, you know. Anyways, so we'll continue. Here, basically, this is also interesting. Decel. This is the point of deceleration. At this point, basically, you should start slowing down your aircraft. So I'm happy that so I'm not really sure. I will check the replay. Just to give you another example of checking yourself for mistakes, you know. I mean, if you get hung up on mistakes, that's never gonna help anybody, you know. Just set a new goal. You know what I mean? But, you know, yeah, they got my fucking gas. If you have to explain, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers had a song. If you have to ask, you'll never know. Alright. There's our airport. Let's just have a little look at it, because we can. Not sure if I'm seeing it. No, no clue. Okay, forget it. And the cell point's getting really close, but this should probably also be visible in the legs page, on the legs page. Tofu's almost there. 220 knots or below, and that's definitely not what it's doing, so I am definitely going to speed intervent here, and we're going to 220. Let's zoom Ardini, 220 or below. Okay, we're almost at 6,500, so we should be getting ready to switch to standard, no, not to local parametric pressure, 1014, we did that now, but let's also see if we can update the latest weather, 1530 Zulu, there's no new one, so 270, 30 knots, 4 degrees and 1014. That's all okay. Speed is, it's not really gone on. Let's see if we can go to flap 1 maybe. I'm gonna try flap 2 degrees. Let's just go to 200 knots. So we have the flaps on 2 degrees. I think it's still probably going to be fine anyway, but we're not super fast, you know. We actually now have a lot of tailwind, as you can see it here in the top left corner of the primary flight display. We have a full-on tailwind, which is normal when you're on the, I think it's called downwind leg or whatever. I was confused those terms, but yeah. And then we're getting ready for a turn to the right, so let's zoom out a little bit. What will happen? We will turn to the right. We're now on our way to Ardini, then Cislu, Lendu, and Whiskey Alpha 536, and so on. This is going to be our turn. Ardini 5,000 feet or below. We already reached that. I think when we make the turn to the right, we will turn on the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights as well, so we are as visually present as we can ever be. Let's see if we manage the speed ourselves and go to the flap 2 speed, for instance, there. You see right here, the flap 2 speed. The aircraft's now drastically decelerating, and probably not a second too soon. You want to keep this stuff under control. Usually it's okay to be at 160 knots until like 4 nautical miles before touchdown. And then you will decelerate the final from 160 to 136 on the final stage, in the final 4 nautical miles. So it can definitely not hurt to be at 172 right now. And I think we're actually going to go 5, and then, not sure if I'm doing this correctly, but then following the speed that comes with it. So basically I said flap 5, and then I said, oh, that's the speed, and I'm gonna put the speed dial on that speed. We're now in the right turn, so let's turn on the runway turn-off lights. Oh, I already turned them on, I totally forgot. Okay, so that's already done then. Let's look at us from the outside. Well, I'm not too impressed, sure. No, they look on, okay. Excuse me. Right. So basically we're getting closer and closer. I'm going to turn on view and localizer. You see here on the primary flight display, or log, it is a white. That means it's armed. This will change positions and be in the position that now leads LNAV, and it will be green. The moment it is picking up the vocalizer. But at 16 knots, I am going to go to the next stage of flaps now. And also I'm not too familiar here with the airport and the approach and everything. And we have some interesting things with the wind going on. I don't know, I feel like I don't want to be too fast, or rather be a little bit too slow and a little bit too fast. If it's too slow, it just takes a little bit longer. But, you know, but you live. You know what I mean. Alright. Total flight time now is 1 hour and 21 minutes. And we're standing by for a right turn. There you go. And you can see also our lock is now active. So now what we need to know is when does the glide slope start, because before the glide slope starts you want to press your approach button. Aircraft is still descending, going to 3,000 feet. And this little white diamond you see right there, that's the beginning of the glide slope. We are already below the glide slope, that's good news. This will start to come down and down and down and down the closer we get to that dotted circle there. So what I said before we reach that point, we need to turn on the approach. I guess we could turn it on right now. I think we have the runway in sight already. Yes, looks like it at least. Zoom in here a little bit. Another decel point coming up. Our speed is 163. We're 1,000 feet above 3,000 feet. Alright, let's have the final weather update if it's there. 1530 Zulu. Nope. So this is the landing data that we will be using. Yeah, so I'm going to decelerate. But that may mean that we need to put, no, I'm going to wait, sorry, because it may start beeping at us again. We just will drop the gear at some stage and then do the rest. I think it's going to be fine. We could maybe, let's reduce the speed a little bit. We're going quite slow. We are now, let's see, you can see now in the top left corner of the primary flight display that there's a DME for our frequency that we put in. It is now saying the ILS, displaying the ILS designator, Whiskey Alpha, 3 to 6 degrees, and we're at 16.1 nautical miles from the glide from the glide slope. Not from the glide slope, from the touchdown zone, from the runway. If I say it correctly, yeah. So, yeah, 150 for now I think is okay. It's quite slow. Yeah, as I said, in some cases you can just keep on flying 160 knots until 4 DME, you know. So let's not speed up, but let's also not slow down. What I will do, we are still descending to 3,000 feet. As you can see here, Airline, we should be there at Airline at 3,000 feet. The glide slope is not coming closer as quickly just yet, but that's fine. We are on the localizer, so I will now turn on the approach button as well. Means that once the diamond-shaped figure here reaches our horizon, and then it will go down, and the nose will point down as well, and we will continue on that path. So the weather is fine, good visibility. We see the runway already, and we're still at like 12 nautical miles. It's quite far out. You can see everything. And again, again, as I said, it's nice to have the range link here, so that you have some sort of idea where the glide slope is world-wise, if you know what I mean, you know. So yeah, my apologies, it's a bit of a slow approach here, so maybe I was overly cautious there, but again, that'll sometimes be a little bit overly cautious when you're questioning yourself and your own actions, when you're reflecting upon that. Need I say more? You know, then yeah, that's just blunder blindly forward, and especially when, you know, sometimes there may be important things at stake, you know. Streaming on a YouTube channel, there's no important things at stake. You know, like navigating through a emotional environment with a partner, that there might be a lot more at stake, for instance, you know. Or a level of self-awareness and self-reflection can go a really long way. You know what I mean. So anyway, we're not here to philosophize, we're here because we either want to fall asleep to a boring video, which is something I do regularly, or just because we are interested in airplanes, you know. Alright, so we are a little bit below the descent profile, and you can also see here is the diamond. Our speed is still under control. And you heard the autopilot say 2,500, and you can see that flashing here, okay? It is calm now for a second, but it will come back. That is your radio altitude. So the radio 50 that we put in here for the decision altitude, which means at 50 feet above the ground, you should have a visual of the runway, which we already do, okay? And the lower you get from 2,500, the radio altitude will display your actual altitude, because you could be landing at Johannesburg, where 0, and we are now on the glide slope, where 0 is actually 5,000 feet. You know what I mean? So this is quite important. Okay, we are 8 nautical miles from the DME. Let's see if I can start recording the flight, by the way. Maybe we can have a playback or something of the touchdown. That would be cool. So at a very crucial stage, I'm all of a sudden no longer in the cockpit. Well, now I am for a second. Use the flight recorder, record. Okay, there we go. Cool. Let's keep on focusing here. We are 6.7. Let's drop the gear. Final weather check. 1530 Zulu. Still the same. Okay. We're continuing. We are on the glide slope. I'm also going to arm the second channel there, just to see if we can do a dual channel approach. And it's the second stage of flap. There was a gust. And I'm actually just going to go to 136, which is our final approach speed, and we're just going to go flap full, breathe out. The gear is dropped as well, so let's strap in the cabin crew as well, and let's call them to their seats. Cabin crew, take your seats for landing. So the cabin crew will strap themselves in. We're still on the glide slope. We are at the ref speed now, and we have full flaps. We have our auto brake. Let's arm the speed brake now. There we go. We have the heading of 326 in here, so in case we do get a missed approach, you could then switch over the active ILS frequency to the next frequency. But we're not going to be doing any of that. Basically, we are now fully configured, and we are at an altitude of 1,000 feet. Even though it says 1400 here, but that's your barometric pressure. So let us turn off the autopilot. And set this sucker down. Try to maintain a 3-degree downslope. Still a little bit high. So we do definitely have some wind from the left. So we might need to put in some rudder upon landing. We'll see. Let's aim for the touchdown zone. I think we're crabbing ever so slightly.
Approaching minimums.
We're going to press on.
100.
100 feet.
Minimums. 50. 30. 20.
Idle. Flare.
10.
And we're down. And let's bring out the reversers. Okay, so it's not a very centered landing this time. And as I said earlier, we will exit to the right. Knots, retract speed brakes and the flaps, 45 knots, so we can do a high speed exit here on this intersection. Welcome to Warsaw, everybody. And if we cross this, we are clear of the runway. I think a right turn is probably what we should be doing. Let's turn off the landing lights. Can't see, man, it's so dark. I think I just turned them back on. You know what, let's just park it here, that's okay. Zoom in on the lights here for a second. I can't see shit from Shinola. Yeah, now it looks like they're both on. Alright. We don't want to need that. We can turn off the flight directors. This Wizz Air. I used to fly with them a lot. Okay, not sure what I'm doing here, people, but I'm just going to stop her here. I'm good. Alright. So engines to idle. Parking brake is set. Let's turn on the lights so we can actually see what was braking. Right, so the engine number 2 can be turned off, and engine number 1 as well. And there you go, so let's switch over now to APU generator. There's no ground power available at our present position. But yeah, man, that's it. So turn off the external lights there. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for checking. Let's see, maybe we can actually, we already turned off the engines, right? Then I don't think we can watch a landing. Let me check. can turn on the engines again. I'm not sure. Okay, forget it. Next time. Right, thank you very much for checking, everybody. Welcome to Warsaw. Hope you enjoyed the flight. And I am your personal funky pilot. And everybody stay funky and keep your loved ones in the correct place. Thank you for checking. See you next time.